Africa to attend EU summit after surviving confidence vote in her party. And details of these and many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. My name is Josh Quinn. On to our very first story. A 13-year-old girl with special needs has been defiled by a family member. The mother of the first traumatized and vulnerable child wants justice to be served. In order to protect the victim, identities of persons in the story have been concealed. And here's a report by my colleague, Sarah Paku.
Florence, who suffers cerebral palsy, was diagnosed of a neurological condition at the age of 2 when she first experienced epilepsy. Being the third child, her mother, Madame Norley, explained how difficult it has been to raise her as a single parent.
The
thing started as convulsion. I have roamed seeking for treatment for her, but to no avail. I'm tired, but I cannot give up.
Florence was defiled by a family member residing in the same house with her. Doctor's report shows that she has been penetrated several times.
Okay, it's at the police station.
We reported the case at the police station. They say they are still doing investigation. On Thursday, when I sent her to the hospital, it was confirmed she has been raped.
She wants justice to be served.
I really want him arrested because it has been his habit for a long time. As at now, his son is also towing that lane. The government should deal with him based on the law.
The unit police commander at the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSU, at the Kweshi Division, Superintendent Margaret Sapati, says preliminary investigation into the case has begun. The police is, however, yet to arrest the suspect at one failed attempt.
There is no evacuation plan for residents of Bawe and its adjoining communities in the Gans South municipality of the Greater Accra region should there be an earthquake. This follows the recent tremor on Sunday morning, causing fear and panic in the area and its surrounding communities. Adwadobia Owusu has the rest of the story.
The Ghana Geological Survey Authority has warned of an imminent earthquake following an earth tremor with a 4.4 magnitude which shook parts of Accra on Sunday, December 9. Bawe experienced 2 earthquakes some 28 years ago, and this is not the first time residents in recent years have observed earth tremors. Lydia has lived in this community with her husband for 18 years.
No cancer ma would say this year I'm saying no say I quick and nam ya say nam sam pami who said a dan e was so
and noticed the building was shaking. It was my daughter who told me it's an earth tremor. I have experienced this about 3 times, but the first was intense.
They see a maybe and they're not a no annual tension winty mansru.
She is not the only resident at Bawe who has no immediate plans to relocate following reports of an imminent earthquake.
Things like that, when it happens, you need to come to your senses and know there are dangers in life. I don't think I have any fear for the future, so I have a caution. I have to take a caution from that, but I'm not afraid.
We don't know, but then we are prepared though. We are prepared. I think the suggestion that came to our mind was to get out of the room and come and stand outside in case if it happens. But then we were still thinking, what if the earth cracks and opens too?
The Public Relations Officer of the National Disaster Management Organization, George AEC, explained the organization is yet to prepare educational materials since its focus has been on floods. He said there is currently no evacuation plan and advised residents to take precautionary measures.
And now let's shift to health. And government says it is dismayed by the current position of the Ghana Medical Association on the drone delivery health system. At a news conference in Accra, Deputy Information Minister Pius Enam-Hajide disagreed strongly that the deal is a misplaced priority, insisting that the Ghana Medical Association earlier welcomed the decision by government.
The Ghana Medical Association, in a statement on Tuesday, asked government to suspend the medical drone delivery deal. According to the GMA, the proposed service does not conform to the existing primary healthcare delivery to the existing primary healthcare policy in Ghana. But at a bi-weekly meeting with the press on Wednesday, Deputy Information Minister Pius Enam-Hajide said government was shocked by the current position of the GMA.
Government is therefore taken aback at the current position of the GMA.
The Deputy Information Minister insisted the GMA's General Secretary, Dr. Justice Yankson, gave government and the Ghana Health Service the GMA's blessings for the rollout of the drone technology during the early stages of discussions.
To quote the General Secretary of the GMA reaction to the announcement, and I quote, "Well, as for us as an association, on countless occasions, we have bemoaned the state of emergency medical service in the country. So, if efforts are being made by the government to ensure we strengthen that aspect of our healthcare delivery, then we say kudos."
A ranking member of Parliament Finance Committee, Kisela Tuforsen, says the deal is a misplaced priority, but Deputy Information Minister disagrees.
We disagree strongly that the drone deal is misplaced priority. It is our view that emergency healthcare in this country is a matter of immense priority to the people of Ghana. Government is, however, willing and ready to engage with any stakeholder who seeks to engage with a view to giving clarity on the matters on which they may lack understanding and clarity.
The drone health delivery system is expected to ensure the distribution of essential medical drugs, especially to rural communities. According to government, the system will also be deployed to deliver other items such as urgent letters, examination papers, and election materials. Parliament on Tuesday, by a majority decision of 102 against 58, approved the agreement.
Meanwhile, government has now decided to further engage the Ghana Medical Association following the feud between the two earlier on the $12.5 million drone contract. At a meeting held between the GMA, Ghana Health Service, and the Ministry of Health, parties agreed there was the need for further consultation. Government has given indication it will go ahead with the implementation of the controversial $12.5 million drone contract, despite calls by the Ghana Medical Association and other stakeholders for it to be suspended. And so we'll be keeping an eye on this very development and keep you posted with regards to development in this regard. And the Opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, says it will continue to expose the failed promises of government in a new media briefing series dubbed Moment of Truth. The party's National Communications Officer, Sami Jemfi, at its maiden edition, described the performance of the Akufo-Addo-led government as abysmal. Here's a report by Mercy Darling Loco.
The briefing session is similar to the Setting the Record Straight edition, which used to be addressed by Fifi Kwete when the NDC was in opposition between 2001 and 2009. National Communications Officer of the party, Sami Jemfi, outlined a number of the promises he insisted government had failed to fulfill.
They have delivered on the promise of one village, one dam, by providing a handful of dugouts and excavated ponds. 419 deliveries is their specialty. Yes, they have delivered on their promise not to borrow by accumulating almost half the total debt of Ghana from independence to date. That is increasing the public debt of Ghana by a whopping 50 billion Ghana cedis in only 2 years, with very little to show on the ground. Friends from the media, yes, they have delivered on their promise to move Ghana from taxation to production by increasing VAT by 5% under the guise of VAT conversion and introducing new taxes like luxury vehicle tax, etc.
He said government has lost touch with happenings in the country.
They believe in their minds today that they have delivered on their promise to transform Ghana within 18 months. MPP never ceased to disappoint. It is clear from the above enumerated points, which are but a few of the many failed promises of the Akufo-Addo government, that the MPP has totally lost touch with the suffering masses and is certainly not attuned to the excruciating economic realities in our country today. The reality, however, is that the Akufo-Addo government has so far been a monumental failure.
He said he is not surprised that the MPP continue to delude themselves that they have delivered.
If you just tune in, you're watching news here on Newday with me, George Quinn. And now the Truth Forum, a communication wing of the New Patriotic Party, has described as frivolous claims by the NDC that the Akufo-Addo-led government has performed abysmally. At a news conference here in Accra, the youth organizer of the party, Henry Nanabuache, said the MPP government is on track in delivering all its promises and would not be swayed by the propaganda of the opposition party.
The Truth Forum outlined some policies implemented by government to discredit claims by the NDC.
We have remained committed to the transformation agenda and would not be distracted by the NDC. We are talking about a government that promised free SHS, and in less than 2-3 months in government, His Excellency the President boldly declared that that same year, September, free SHS will appear. We are talking about a government that with one single blow came up with NAPCO giving livelihood to 100,000 young people.
Henry Nanabuache stressed the NDC has no right to criticize government of mismanaging the economy since they presided over an incompetent government which brought untold hardship on Ghanaians.
After overseeing the execution of fraudulent and evil malpractice that was going to ensure that 1.2 billion of Ghanaians lose their life savings after they shamelessly caused this mess, today they are shouting from the rooftop that our attempts to correct the wrongs are leading to a reduction in the rate growth. They are unrepentant in their outlook. They have no remorse for the mess they so mercilessly created.
He indicated they will continue to explain government policies in order not to give the NDC the opportunity to throw dust in the eyes of the public.
You can engage us on stories aired so far on our social media platforms. On Facebook is TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter is the news TV3. And our government is to curb the allowances and salaries of CEOs and board members of agencies under the State Enterprises Commission. Executive Chairman of the State Enterprises Commission, Stephen Asamabwat, made this known at a news conference here in Accra.
The Executive Chairman expressed concern about the salary disparities at the various agencies under his watch, indicating that a review committee had been set up.
You don't want a situation where you publish without their involvement. That would be a disaster for us. And don't also forget that you're talking about CEO level or MD's level, but there's a ripple effect to the deputy, to the other functional heads. Because once you have a limit, for them, it has to apply to the others. It's being worked on.
The committee, expected to complete its work in 2019, will seek to put a ceiling on salaries to reduce government wage bill.
You give an allowance to a board member sitting on FDA, for instance, board, or GMPC. How do you compare that to another board member sitting on, say, fair wages, or National Theatre, or you get a difference in terms of their nature of work. Some are commercial, some are not. And if they make the commercial input, how do you reward them?
Already, some labor economists and experts are spearheading the need to enroll these agencies on the single spine salary structure. The executive chairman, Sena Samoa Boateng, spoke about facilitating the amendment of the law to allow smooth migration.
But we want to set a ceiling where they cannot hit and go beyond that. Some of them even earn more than the president. Some of them, they earn more than I do. But it doesn't matter. Most important, let's have a reasonable range that we can then keep them on. If we need to change the legal framework, why not?
And now to the foreign front. Theresa May is heading to Brussels for an EU summit less than 24 hours after surviving a vote of confidence. The Prime Minister is seeking legally binding pledges from EU leaders on the Irish backstop, a key obstacle for MPs who oppose a Brexit deal. The EU will not renegotiate the deal but may be willing to give greater assurances on the temporary nature of the backstop, the BBC understands. The Prime Minister won the ballot on her leadership by 200 votes to 117 on Wednesday night. The secret ballot was triggered by 48 of her MPs angry at a Brexit policy which they say betrays the 2016 referendum result. Speaking in Downing Street after the vote, May vowed to deliver the Brexit people voted for, but said she had listened to the concerns of MPs who voted against her. And that's how we end news here on Newday. You can get more news updates on our website. It's 3news.com. I'm Josh Quinn. Newday continues right after this break. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your morning.
It's a Thursday. Bright is starting his weekend. We have learned to start with him, and so by association, today is the weekend.
Association by invitation.
All right.
But you know what? This song gets me back into the days when I was a young man. Now at 63, very old and getting closer to my ancestors. You know, do you remember Alan James Video City? At that time,
around the Latvia Koshi.
Video playing equipment were that common, so that if you wanted to watch anything video, you need to go to the Video City. Right. And the guy
watch
was
the reel.
Making a lot of money. The movies will start around somewhere 9 o'clock in the morning all the way through, and that is where I watched
the video.
What's her name? Whitney and
Whitney
Kevin Costner.
Somebody says
that movie.
Whitney Houston.
No, don't go there.
Somebody said Whitney Houston.
No,
Bodyguard. Yes, that's a movie. And that day was an exciting day for me. A young man who just completed sixth form, and I worked with someone. It was really an exciting day for me.
You remember the orbit as well?
A male or female? Johnny, hold on. Male or female?
No, yeah, of course, a female, of course.
A female, yeah.
Why, of course? Why you can't take a male to the movies?
To go and do
to watch why? What did the female go and do there?
You take the men to the gym.
Yeah, they go
the
to
ladies
the
to the movies. Yeah. So it's cool. But there was also the orbit.
Yeah.
Yes.
The orbit. Yeah. The orbit.
No, at that time, the ones that how did they call it? The celluloid.
Okay.
They were running out, and so
Exactly.
the video thing was in vogue. And if you had the video, you were the big guy in town. Okay.
Right.
People.
And then there was the cassette rentals. Yeah. I mean, we had one at Abosokai known as was Heaven on Earth.
That was a hub of that kind of activity. Small ghettos.
Exactly. No, but this one was a
whole
like a library shop, like a video library.
We had one in Joel, walking. Everybody knew walking, and it was
kept ringing. So you could actually get up, walk to a small shop, and rent a movie to
exactly. And people were very honest to return the VHS tapes.
But what was interesting was in my community, well, in Jolie where I grew up, many people would rent. Let's say you have movie A, I have B, I have C. Instead of returning it, we'll swap because we know we have a week to return it. So we'll swap and make sure we've all watched these three movies before the week ends. And it was fun.
Because back in the day, I mean, if you pick it, watch it, and return it and pay for another one,
Yeah,
it will be a wasteful venture.
I'm sure if anyone should attempt that thing today, we'll go and pick the CD.
The shop will be empty.
Dab it.
Yeah, return it, exactly. I mean, sometimes I wonder how people who sell their things on the internet actually make money, because, you know, people end up downloading the fake versions or the pirate versions. And I'm wondering whether in these days where technology is so rife and people actually know how to get these things, whether people actually get their value for what they produce. And I guess it's something that maybe the movie industries would have to look at critically and see how best to secure these things.
Speaking of which, I mean, throwing back further, you would remember the, what do you call it, the internet cafes. They were in vogue at the time. You know, you had a computer at home, but you didn't have internet cafe. So it was Windows 92 or so, and Windows 95, and then 97 came
97
up.
I certainly remember.
Yes, but Windows 95 as well. So you had it. So if you wanted to check your email, you would go and check in the internet cafe. These days, you pick up your phone and you are.
Oh, you're there.
We have.
Do we still have? Okay, we still do. And
yes, we have a few of them.
Yeah. And even the phones where you'd go to, you know, space to space and all that.
Space to space, toll booth. I remember we used to go and queue up at the Kaneshi post office just to make a foreign call to my uncle then, the late Marcus Hughes. We'll queue up, and the call cards they came with tail liners. So you queue up, you wait for your time, and sometimes when you have a call, they will have to run all the way to come and call you.
I know. And people used to tap. You know, when you had the phones and your parents would lock it so that you can't, you know, abuse it.
Oh, my father knew we used the scissors.
Use scissors to do it.
Yeah, you know, there's a
box. The hole.
So yeah, we use the long scissors.
Oh Lord! But people learned how to tap. I mean, even I had to learn because my brothers and my cousins could do it, and they taught you, and you have to count in your head.
That's too much work for me.
No, but it was fun. It became like, you know, doing some math or
In my house, we all had scissors. In my house,
but I'm wondering, is that what Sunday school taught you guys?
It was fun. No, I think you didn't even recognize you were singing per se, but now
you wanted to make a call to your friend.
And it was adventurous, like who can tap and make sure it goes, because you're not even sure. So when the person picks the phone, you're like, hello, is this Amma? And she's like, yes, it's Amma. Okay, then I know I succeeded, but it was only always
in my house. Everybody owned a long scissors.
Yes,
a pair of scissors.
I am sure that Jesus Christ is taking this as a confession.
Oh, we've already confessed. He knows.
He's forgiving you guys.
Yes, the sins of the young day. I mean,
before my dad died, he knew some of the things we had done. So
no, they know. Sometimes they know, but sometimes we pretend that we have no sin.
Yes, but you did something.
Let's check what's coming up this morning.
We'll still be ranting about drones for medical supplies. It's still catching on. People, and even Tilapia has an interesting, picture which we'll show you later in the day.
I'm enjoying it. I am thinking that government, you see, there's one thing I was listening to BBC this morning, and I got to know from between Michael Cohen's issue and Theresa May's that we all make mistakes. Okay, I think the government should stop this engagement with GMA. Yesterday, I heard the Deputy Information Minister, what is his name? And Dr. Justice Yankson. I think government should just accept that we made a mistake.
Exactly.
We did not consult the GMA. Look, let me tell you, if I invite you to my program and you come and make an announcement that I am going to use drones to deliver,
it doesn't constitute.
It doesn't mean consultation.
An engagement.
Okay, government should simply accept that we erred. All right, we erred it. We erred by not consulting them. Now we have accepted. We will consult them and stop this back and forth. Yesterday I heard them on one of the radio stations in Accra, and I wasn't too happy. I mean, if the vice president made the announcement, it doesn't amount to consult.
Right, it doesn't. And I've been asking that question as well. I mean, I don't know what your speech contains. If we're supposed to have a stakeholder consultation, I have the document, you have the document. So we have both studied it, and then we come to the negotiation or discussion table, and we know what points we are putting across. But you are holding on to it. And of course, I mean, it's the vice president speaking. We couldn't have sat there and not clapped. So the fact that people clapped doesn't mean that they endorse what. I mean, sometimes it's just ceremonial.
We all make mistakes. Accept that we erred. Now we're going to correct it. It's as simple as that, and then we'll move on. Whatever it is, let's see. But when we're ranting, I guess you have the chance to also share with us what you think about it. It's been approved. Government says it won't stop its implementation as being demanded by GMA. But the two are talking. Let's see what comes out of it.
Right. And then, of course, we'll be talking about reducing the ritual road carnage that occurs around this Christmas and the festive seasons where people die. And it's become, you know, a rampant thing. Almost every year we care. And it's as if the gods, as people put it, are demanding for blood. And we're finding out what practical ways can we reduce these road carnages. Because it's very worrying.
The gods are demanding blood.
That's what, you've not heard where Ghana now. Everything is about gods and gods.
I don't think it's the gods. The gods cannot be blamed for this. I think that is our own doing.
You see, we are going to fly blood in our airspace.
Well, but the
if you're not
Witches,
careful and you let the gods
Association
get to know that blood is flying in the air, they might take over the blood.
Oh, but they have actually come to
say they will drink the blood.
Yeah, they said they'll drink the blood.
No, please. Don't,
they have come to say.
Don't tell it to their hearing, please.
Oh, but whether we speak or not, they are even spirits, so they hear before we even speak it out.
But you see, the point...
But it's funny. There's actually a National Witchcraft Association.
I think we need to be serious about it. We know the rush, particularly at this point, where people want to make extra money.
Right.
If it is 10 cities in the previous month, that driver wants to make 20 cities, and so there's a rush. And so that is what causes the accident. So as to how to deal with it is what the problem is.
Right.
What do? Do we put more policemen on the road? But the same problem then comes back, where the drivers, particularly on the Accra-Cape Coast Road, are aware of where these policemen are standing.
And they signal each other.
They signal each other. And so they slow down when they get there. But as soon as they go past these guys, then the speed comes up again.
Even talking about beyond positioning the policeman on the ground, it goes beyond that for me. It's about the punishments that go with it, or the repercussions of actually finding someone flouting the rules. Because if you are there and you stop me and you ask me not to repeat it, or you ask me to go to the nearest police station and blah, blah, and be processed, and I go, and because I can pay my way through, I still get back on the road, I'm going to move to another location and it still cause the issue. So I think it's about, first of all, vigilance on the part of, you know, pedestrians, then also on the part of other road users, because all of us have a role to play when it comes to driving. And that's why the defensive driving in Ghana, well, you don't see it. You tend to see offensive driving where people are driving recklessly and misbehaving on the roads. Again, where trotros and taxis park and take the chunk of the road. And so in attempts to, you know, bypass them, you may run into other vehicles and all that. Those are the things we have to look at critically and make sure the rules are being enforced. Otherwise, we're back to
I believe strongly that some time ago, the National Road Safety Commission had mentioned that if you are going to board a vehicle, you check the tires of the vehicle, you know, and those kind of things. I mean, for your own safety. Sometimes you would see, you'd look into the vehicle and you see that the gear doesn't even have a knob for the driver to hold on.
It's just a stick.
And so you know that in the most critical point, if the man is trying to change the gear, you'll be in trouble. You look at the tire and it's as smooth as a baby's bum. And so you know that in most critical time, it loses its grip and all of that. But we throw all these things, you know, to this caution to the wind, and we hope that things will still go on the way we want it to go. It won't go. See, the policeman at the MTTD or the National Road Safety Commission or NADMO will only come in after the deal is done. Perhaps after you are dead or maimed or your life is in a critical condition. The bigger chunk of the responsibility lies with you. As we may have realized now, most of our processes are not complete. And so you would have to take charge and solve your problem. You want to go to Kumasi this Yuletide season to go and meet your family, Bonafo region, wherever it is, and you get to the station, and you know, because you can't find a bus of your choice, just any vehicle comes up and says, I'm going towards Kumasi, and you hop in because you think you are late, my late, I need to go and meet them, and then the unfortunate happens.
And that, you know, I think it's also good for us to encourage that communal spirit of speaking against evil or against wrong, especially when people board vehicles. There's power in numbers, and I don't see how you would recognize that a particular driver is over speeding and everyone seems to be comfortable. When one person decides to speak up, everyone jumps at this and says, "Oh, you're
especially if you spoke in English."
Oh yes, then the eyes start rolling. I think it has to
when you're taxi, because
what they fail to recognize recognizes if you have an accident, everybody, including even the one who spoke up, is going to die. Yeah. Not only those of you who didn't speak up. Yeah. It's not selective. It's a whole process. It's a mass casualty. And so if you feel the person is not doing right, because if you all speak, imagine if you all threaten to get out of that vehicle. Right. The driver will have no option but to start responding to you.
You see, there's another thing. We have a lot of drivers' unions in this country. We have the police MTT, the National Road Safety Commission. There's one thing they've all missed. The driver unions will go and advocate for an increase in their fares when the fuel price increases and all of that. They will talk about the police harassing them. They will talk about the tolls they pay. But nobody ever talks about where the driver gets to rest. Nobody talks about it. And go to any long distance station of your choice. You only have the bookman and the station masters or organizers behind their desks, and they have somewhere to lay their heads. The drivers at worst would have to lie in the chair, recline in the chair in the car. Now, a 90-kilogram man or a 120-kilogram man who's traveled from here to Bonafo region, say 7 hours, back 7 hours, he has no place to rest, and his car is still loading to transport. You need rest. So why are we not resting? And why are we not insisting that every lorry park must have a rest stop for them to rest? We are not. You get in there, you find a small bench, and a huge man is lying on a bench. His feet is on the floor, and a part of him is on the thing. And you call that rest?
Charlie, life is not easy.
No, but they've also said we're killing that norm of this is how Ghana works, and so everyone we're killing ourselves. Exactly, and we have to speak about it.
So the driver becomes sleepy. The driver becomes sleepy, and sometimes in the most critical moment when they feel so sleepy, they get off and they ask the driver's mate to come and take charge of their lives.
It's interesting. I thought, interestingly, it's around this time that you find the road safety guys. They'll go to the various stations, go and do plenty.
They listen to them at the station. When they hit the road, they
forget about it. They talk plenty. And yet, let's pray and hope that we'll be more active this time as we get into the Yuletide and get a lot more people saved from these road crashes. But for now, let's take a quick break. It's a Thursday. We're throwing back. And when we're back, there's more coming up on the show.
Hello, good morning and welcome to today's edition of the Daily Rant with me, Eric Yaweje from Takrade here in the Western region. Parliament has by a majority decision passed the drone deal that government entered into with Zipline Ghana Limited. What this means is that beginning next year, drones will be delivering essential medicines on emergency basis to hard to reach areas in the country. The Ghana Medical Association says that it has some reservations about this whole deal. According to them, they believe that strengthening our referral centers is the way to go. What do you think?
Yankade problems in Naya solve. Nebum them drone in Boboa or Ghana Health Service. Emma in drew into there. A mini odru been 1 while until Butu survive one survive. Ian said, I'm Jimmy today, drone waba, and drone him Jimmy today. Also, a Benny Soriano cafe. Or share, baby ma, who's why I don't know why, yeah. Or no for I don't know, other Abraham into I don't know, or cafe bay. It's a bit over to our bopa. A pomuzente, and Yaza or Mengas na pomutu to form Sunday, Mendias or Manum Puntina pomuzin to. Say Nimpo woman, Yala, want to win your woman to put. Now, so, and she sent and Zambo is about Koimo on set no fata. Yakoto drone and obosum $12 million. Yadreba, Yadabachum, Yada Conquasim Quasi. Remember, say, them question you. Into so quasible wa moto untumkoana. Into so quasible wa, Senipo can super untum canoe chosen for Kwana. What's your emergency service? And coming with the master and Cabana wire ready. Another what was sort of Boku, my Yabwama, emergency service with Ma. The Mudrosi, Yindi Canyon pilot. Yashi and airwaves. Say, Yanfan a day, Takwaza, say 100 drones for you. Helicopters over so for rigid. In Zimbabwe, domestic airlines over. Yes, there, on comment another on far disruption on from by an airwaves.
Moja, now the Moja and a cra. Why a di Moja and a cry every day? Every money pan and a Moja cramming himself. Would the Moja ma before the Bema cry on you might be a year one. I mean, even storage facilities are drawing what or the transport is Samujawi. Na Ghana Medical Association issue statement. When we say statement in late Kakrade, but Ghana Medical Association, Ghana Medical Lab Scientists, any key players are Omohando Moja, any Nipa Pomudi. I say, Sanko way ebe working with the drone services, you know, ekrasi aban one consulting year. Ofu say Nipa Pemwa. Now even Ghana laboratory scientists, your documents are certain carbine pass da. Kebetumi solve a lot of these problems. Fan infrastructure, fan even equipment. Now even baby amode ikono, your facility ebetumi store say blood mpo ebetumi store ana a little processes sanya mani wo ho ana personnel wo ho ana. Anka so mo pass those documents na anka ebe solve sanya man we about 70%. Oh yes. What guys say yeah constitutional review. Yeah call emiem ahodo wo Ghana even market kura na wo hia empanufo bi. You busa say dem pa na wo susu say Ghana mra nene yesesa no a yemfa nka ho. Make I say nansia meti wo mafide bi so ma be national youth policy, national youth authority on ma ba. Now according to the ayenya te ye no mo tell say one mark all the 9 regions. Aha mobile na kan 9 regions no mark. That is so all the 10 regions. Intije na nke besikwen. Sa ban ombodi say drone semi enkoba pempanufo a wamu wanimdie e wo ho. Na nka wati all the 10 regions. You ko challenges sanka say wo ho. Si yesa say ye use drone ya emwa ban na de beba. Si yesa say ye use drone ya o how ban na de beba. Ama ochine bi obi ankwa nkobo obi sombo enye kwa ere ko no bebi ebedru no edu a ye bibi ansa na ye de ama oyarefo no ye fra bibi enu na me ka no sa increasing talent ye ka na ebi ni ho na oho kra equipment odi be ye adwuma no kra ni ho iti ni ye ka ni say anka ye hwe sa lab policies na I implement niam kakra bi a anka ebe solve sa drone asem no kra be den half unim say your friend is saying CC ayeka say company no zipline na fe na o matro letter hwehwe consultation to medical association ne medical lab scientists ana denti na fe mo na o matro letter.
It's not say ebia drone no ho kwadam blood for kwadam hospital. Name upon the request of that facility. It is a ebia me wo Kosimiti hospital. Na say ebia when you be to Duaboso. Enwa mpako no kwa Duaboso. Na say ebia ohia eduru bia a wonwonyi bia. That Duaboso facility no be frɛ. Say ebia obo frɛ the center where the ebia ye hia dam blood ebia day so and so. It ye hia bi within a short possible time.
So what will it solve? It means that the center that is making that request should be a well-established center. But we are looking at centers. What's the places are? Or hard to reach? What's the hard to reach? That is the English. Hard to reach.
Hard to reach. And Jabia Meko, Princess. Is only Akatechi. And one more health facility. Sabi. Up to that time, I may make one year. Refrigerator keke. What's some more special refrigerator be a moody store and bro. And ukra one nibi. Inti baby to say, Princess Saketechi. Drone no machine by near the cost some mojano. Met me on authority say, even blood availability in stock no cry a problem at the national level. So who say Uber rely on the national grid? Because creative problems. Maybe Nemom senka what resources what? Send a tibia be obenya nipa ni nua bi ana ne ba bi ana wan bi ama watwe moja mpo wo ho ama nipa no na o ka se udi moja ni ikogu ba bi sa moja no nkonya we he krom kra ne ye wo challenge na waka se u besoa bi afi krom ha e de akọ na ye de ikọ no nso niema aka de de be ye ho adwuma mpo ebi ni ho personal eni ho aban training crofo mu titifie
say aban why you ready pa do obokun no wa bo me yan pom zan konima referral centers on refurbished one
That is what the Ghana Medical Association is demanding.
They should refurbish the medical centers. Can we sit down, say, yes, can you medical? Can we solve that? No, we can't do that. We can't do it.
There should be a wider consultation. In fact, stakeholders, they say, because these things are very technical. And yeah, ballot boards are some. And one ballot board, and one. Essential service.
Young fan says, Sabi, Obida Quasimin team, I am Sabia. We hear Moja, fine. Drone a 2 3 at the Boja Commando. We are ambulance banks here. I was saying, every fan who could ambulance bank, you didn't do my head in Aqua. Ambulance bank, and you better. And I said, Daba no deba. You to my coffee, you the $12 million. Jadako for drone here, Juma. Your ambulance. Who's a friend? Abandoned ambulance. I said, the government has procured 275 ambulances. Yes, it will come. It will come.
What is even the guarantee that, say, you administer blood in Crampo successfully, the person will be saved?
The man will say,
yeah, politics was ideal.
When none was survivor. When none was survivor. The man will say, if you can't have the blood, no, they come on Pacono. And they're teaching them Pacono survive. Answer them. Answer them. If you can tell it less than. What was it? $12 million. Someone to if you just need a little money to refurbish the place for her. Yes. Send us away now. All the equipment they outmoded.
No, a good technology. Then, yeah, can say as the stakeholders, the main stakeholders, what health, how far I had them, on my consortium, because someone will play the key role, and no, I can. Any year can say, it never be what be policies, as I say, I implemented that. Those are the things that, yes, you should say, I buy the more, no fast animal in Guaquan or the Guaquan, a bit so drone issues, no to be.
Ghana Medical Association. My problem is that Ghana Medical Association, this discussion started long time. How we didn't know what passed in Manana.
Ghana Medical Lab Scientists Association. And make me account on authority say they issue statement on the 5th of December. And me say Omonsaka. You can say your company no crash Abema ya association say omo pese omo meeting it is not just say omo hu say ehun hia say na say nka den omo frɛ yen omo consult because a professional issue
abawo mesre no na dawoma on dem nim say obi bia no abeka bete ba ya pomudi nko ade mesra no you should consult the Ghana Medical Association, Ghana Medical Laboratory Science. So want to me, where any idea to say, sabi, no, even car you need to consult the MTTV and the urban hotel. Want to me, idea where you probably know what they did, what to talk to Praguno.
Say, what passing in Chede, what passing now? It could be that before over start we will take off in the they will consult all these people.
Ghana Medical Association, won't hold you an answer. It's a baby saying, and a Ghana Medical Association, whole medical association. Why? Because they won't hold one. It's a consultation, Papa Ben, of course. I don't service in your group. Dr. Frank wasn't the worker there. It's not even hold on. Dr. Frank was there to suspend the whole process. Because I said, I don't let me parrot who said, I bet you know you. Pilot program. Sorry, I was so bad. It doesn't mean that we implement Cesara. And yes, I don't want consultation. I thought that parliament. I don't want for 1 year consultation. I thought that parliament. With the parliament because we thought parliament. Only
takeaway is that nobody is against government's decision to introduce innovation in ensuring that our healthcare delivery system is enhanced. However, the challenge is that there should be a wider consultation to ensure that at the end of the day, what government is implementing has the consent of majority of Ghanaians. What are your thoughts? You can also go onto our various social media platforms and share them there. This has been the Daily Rant with me, Eric Yawoje from Takrady.
welcome back to the show this morning. And the Business Finder this morning says Ghana poised for massive transformation. The president, who's in Japan, talking there, a photograph of him and the business community in Japan on the front page of the Business Finder. The BNFT says that government eyes aviation gateway as Ghana signs deals with Canada and others. Bank of Ghana could cut interest rates by March. Dr. Addison's photograph is here, and State Enterprises Commission to become authority. The Times says that the ECO retrieves 51 million cedis from tax evaders. There is heavy security presence in Yendi as funerals of the Yanas draw near, and Ghana is preferred investment destination. The president. The Yoko story getting some traction on the daily graphic. Inflation now 9.3%. And that's also on the daily graphic. And the president again gets another one on daily graphic. Ghana poised for significant transformation. President Akufo-Addo. Daily Guide also carries the same story. And President Kufuor clears air on ex gratia. Those are some of the newspapers I have with me this morning. My guest to do the talking, Nana Damo is a member of the NPP's team. He's with me here in the studio. Good morning. Hope you're doing great.
By the grace of God.
And thanks for joining us. And Member of Parliament for the Damongo constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Adams Mutawakili is also here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great too.
I'm doing fine.
And thanks for your time. Now, let's start our conversation this morning. Daily Guide has a story. We can take a quick look at that. On page 8 of the Daily Guide this morning, we have a story from the fallout of Parliament's approval of a new or renegotiated a Merry deal. It says that a Merry deal better, favorable. That's ASEP. The African Center for Energy Policy has commended government for the renegotiated and enhanced terms of the controversial 150 million build, operate, own and transfer deal between the government of Ghana and Ameri Energy, which was submitted to Parliament by Energy Minister John Peter Amewu. Now in Parliament on Wednesday, December 6, we're told that former Energy Minister Boakye Jaku was dismissed in connection with the Ameri deal signed by the previous Mahama administration. Mr. Jaku came under heavy criticism when he claimed that Ghana will gain 405 million from the power deal with Ameri, but it was discovered that the country will rather lose up to $472 million. ASEP, in a statement signed by Executive Director Ben Boakye, said it has seen the addendum to the Ameri contract submitted to Parliament, and the addendum presents a more favorable liability for government than the original contract terms, proposing a saving of 51.3 million. This delayed outcome is a result of direct engagement with the contractor who had delivered on the expected terms of a binding contract, for which reason ASEP was convinced from the beginning that good faith was the only ingredient required for a renegotiation. So that's the story so far about the deal. Ameri commending government. Now, let me start the conversation with you. We have come full cycle. This was a deal that came, there were issues with it. It gets back to Parliament. ASEP is suggesting that this one is better than the previous one that the former energy minister presented. Is that it?
I want to look at it from the point of view that is this a better deal than what exists currently? Because clearly what has caused this entire attempt to renegotiate this deal is that obviously Ghana is not getting the best that it could have gotten from the original deal that was negotiated. If everything is to be taken into consideration, per the calculations that I have seen, we stand to gain as much as $51 million that Ghana can claw back from this deal. So if indeed a deal has been negotiated and through a renegotiation process, about $51 million can be clawed back, then indeed, this government and this administration, this energy minister has done quite a lot for the Republic of Ghana in being able to at least claw back this amount of money for the Republic of Ghana. Resources are scarce, according to basic economics. And what you will appreciate is that once you have, any extra dime anywhere, it will go a long way to help in the development of a country like Ghana.
Let's see, if $51 million is saved, we're told that what is saved is from the variables. The argument then was that the capacity charge, that's about 360 million, is where the problem was. So if $51 million is saved from the variables, is that significant enough?
Now, this exactly is what we have always been saying, that the original Ameri deal was quite a not well done deal. Let me put it that way. It was quite a not well done deal, because you see, you're asking me that the problem is the capacity charges, and that's 360 million.
And that's where the confusion was.
And where we have saved is the variables, among others. Well, we were told at the time that this is the best deal that Ghana could have entered into. Some way, somehow, we have looked at the deal, we have made a first attempt in trying to alter the variables to enable all of us claw back some benefits from it. The people of Ghana disagreed with us. Various think tanks also disagreed with us. The government decided to take a look at it again and take into consideration what the people of Ghana were saying. And Honorable Minister Amewu has done that. He has looked at the deal again, and he has presented to Parliament a renegotiated deal. What is clear is that this deal, in bare financial terms, will cost the people of Ghana less than the deal that exists currently. And it all goes to show that the claim that was made by the MPP then in opposition, that the deal was not the best or was not in the best interest of Ghana, is right.
Honorable Mutawakilu, now, on the day that the deal was passed, the minority suggestion was that whatever savings that have been made were insignificant. Why?
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's very important that we know the route, how Ameri started. The Ameri deal started when we have serious power challenges. And there is the need to bring what we call emergency power plants. And that brought up Ameri. And it has come to provide about 230 megawatts. And that has contributed significantly to solving Dumso and ending Dumso before December 2016. So if you look at the economic savings that many factories were able to work, and then looking at the agreement, very better agreement, good. And this is an agreement that has gone through all processes. PricewaterhouseCoopers carry out value for money. The current Attorney General also did an assessment and wrote to the former Minister of Energy that this was a good deal.
No.
Now let me come.
No.
In every power purchasing agreement.
I get you the chance to react because we saw that letter. So if you have anything, I'll get you the chance.
In every power purchasing agreement, we must understand there are various items in it. One is what we call the capacity charge. Very important. That is the cost of the equipment, or some will say the cost of the plant. Most other things are variable. Like you have variable O&M, operation and maintenance. Because if you decide not to run the plant, you don't buy fuel. If you decide not to run the plant, no fuel. So most of them, because they depend on the generation that you produce, we call them variables. But the capacity charge, which is the cost of the equipment, once the plant is ready to produce, whether you use it or not, you will pay for it. And that is why the $510 million became very critical and was what was debated on all along. Now, this government, then in opposition, said the plant should not cost more than 360.
That's the capacity charge itself.
Yeah, that's the capacity charge. That's the capacity charge. Okay. Because the other ones are variables. We don't normally concentrate on them. We concentrate on the cost of the equipment. The MPP said the plant should not cost more than $360 million. And that the NDC government has entered into an agreement that the plant will cost $510 million. So the contract is bloated by $150 million. That is their position. And they believe that former President Mahama took the money. We said this agreement is a clean agreement, and therefore, let's go with it. They said no. In February 2017, the former Minister of Energy stopped payment to Ameri and only paid to the EPC contractor, Metka, and therefore started accumulating there. And the intention became clear when he came out with a novation agreement. And the novation agreement, that means that you are entering into a third party, and that party was Mytilenos, so that Mytilenos will settle off Ameri. Then government has a contract with Mytilenos. It came to Parliament. We, the minority, gave a signal. And when we scrutinized the document, this government, President Nana Akufo-Addo, wanted to dupe this nation over $800 million. Why I say over $800 million? If you look at the agreement, they had extended it to 15 years. And if you calculate it, in the 15 years, the cost of the plant alone will be paying $1.125 billion.
Is that why? No,
so that is
why the president stopped that agreement?
The president stopped by first giving. How should the president stop it? By first giving executive approval. Why did he give the executive approval? Why did he wait until we, the minority, exposed the fraud in it? They were caught hands down, and they had no option. So the plant, we said, to cost $510 million. You said it should cost $360 million. You now came with an innovation agreement that the plant will cost us $1.125 billion. So you realize that in that debate were about the cost of the equipment. And in that debate, the variable cost you're talking about was there. In that agreement, the innovation agreement. But because it is the cost of the equipment or plant that is very critical, that is why we're concentrating on it. Now, you know very well that America has been in the news for the wrong reason. Meanwhile, they are clean since 2015. The government came and decided to take it off. From then, it failed. Meanwhile, this government has an opportunity. Being a government in power, you have some goodwill. All businesses will want to continue doing businesses with you, so you could intervene. Call, oh, we need you to do A, B, C, D. We stated this a long time. Engage America, you refuse. When NDC in 2009 came, Welder Le Monde was a contract entered under J. Kufuor. We took advantage, discussed with them. They gave us a haircut of $9 million. We used part of it to construct an ECG substation at Kintampo. So it's normal. If you look at the US, Trump is renegotiating some agreement. He's taking advantage of the fact that it's a new government. More businesses will want to continue doing business with the government, and therefore the new government, and therefore take advantage.
Is that why the savings is significant?
Now, when we come to this new agreement, they are no more talking about the bloated $150 million. If it is bloated, you should be talking about it. But what is the reduction in terms of the cost of the plant? It's 9.8 million.
That's the capacity charge.
The capacity charge.
So you're suggesting that the new agreement only saved $9 million?
No, in the cost of the equipment.
For the cost of the equipment.
It's only 9.8, so I'll assume 10 million. So the plant still cost $500 million. So the question we ask is that, why couldn't you find the $140 million that you said was bloated and given to President Mahama? This is a clear vindication of the position of NDC and President Mahama that this contract was entered fairly in good faith, looking at the circumstances at that time, and very well.
But at least the government made some savings on the whole contract.
I'm coming.
Because of time. Let me get an answer to come in.
Because from where they came, the 150, we need to categorize this. If you decide to do with the variable cost, it goes with its own cost as well. And Ameri will be willing to do that because, one, they have been in the news for a wrong reason. You decided to take the contract from them. Now you decided that, oh, after you have failed all attempts, come and let's go. They want to have a rest. Okay, let's give them this one. And let the agreement go, then we can now have peace of mind is very critical.
Okay.
Peace of mind.
I come back to you. Now, first of all, you can react to the issues that he raised about the ages. But his suggestion is that the savings that were made is simply because this is a new government. It has goodwill. Ameri want to stay in business. And so they just agreed to let go of what they let go. But the new agreement did not get any reduction in terms of the cost of the equipment.
First of all, I mean, do you believe these arguments?
Well, I have heard it. I'm asking you to.
Exactly, because it's unbelievable. First of all, 10% of the value of a project is insignificant. That's what Honorable Mutakili is seeking to tell us this morning. 51 million out of 510 million is insignificant. May I?
I'll get you the chance.
Thank you. 51 million out of 510 million is insignificant. That's the first point I want to point out. Secondly, let's deal with this point of the Attorney General said that the deal was a good deal. And I'm reading from the document that has been widely circulated by the NDC, and this is what it says. Admittedly, the legal effect of the standby letter of credit issued to Ameri is unfavorable to the government of Ghana and overly favorable to Ameri in that it gives Ameri the opportunity to call in the full USD 51 million after collecting the required payment under the boot agreement. Note that. It was overly favorable to Ameri and highly unfavorable to the government of Ghana. That's the first one. I read another statement that says that the boot agreement is unconscionable. Now, unless we do not understand the basics of English language, unconscionable means good.
What was the conclusion of that document?
Well, I'm coming, and that's what I'm pointing out to. The conclusion of this document was that, listen, and again, I'll get to it. The agreement, and you see, it is alleged the boot agreement is unconscionable. We have the view that the unconscionable agreement, we have the view that the agreement being unconscionable and against the interest of Ghana, however, cannot be used to cancel the agreement, and this is the reason. The agreement was concluded between GOG, that's the government of Ghana, a state party, which was a stronger bargaining position in all respects than Ameri, a private corporate body.
So that the letter did not say that the agreement was fraudulent.
What it says is this. Representatives of the government of Ghana willingly and knowingly entered into an agreement that was unfavorable to itself.
But it was not fraudulent.
So, you see, this is where the issue lies, and I'll tell you the story behind it. The fraudulent nature of it or otherwise has been reduced to the unconscionable nature of it. But I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
Does it, if the leaders of Ghana entered into an agreement and was fraudulent, the state can just...
It depends on where the fraud was perpetrated. Was the fraud perpetrated on the people of Ghana by its own leaders, or the fraud was perpetrated in the agreement itself? And that is what the Attorney General has summed up by saying that, listen, Nana, you work for TV3. TV3 has elected you to go and negotiate for 4x4 vehicles. These 4x4 vehicles are available on the market for about, let's say, $100,000. You go and negotiate a deal that is allowing you to purchase these same 4x4 vehicles for $1 million each. The deal has been done, it has been concluded, it has been signed. TV3 cannot come back and say that on the basis that you negotiated a bad deal for them, they want to cancel the agreement.
It was fraudulent.
I'm
coming. Can't cancel if it was fraudulent.
I'm coming, and that is why I'm saying that the fraudulent aspect of it is what I'm going to show you.
Okay.
For TV3, you've done a very bad thing for them because it is available at $100,000, and on what basis, therefore, did you go and negotiate for $1 million for something that's available for $100,000? There's a backstory. Listen, that deal was signed with Ameri. Ameri then goes to another company and says, Merka, we have such a deal. How much can you operate it for? Medcar says I can do it for $360 million. And as today, as we speak, it is Medcar that is operating the plant. It is Medcar that actually brought the plant in, and it's Medcar that's operating the plant. So in essence, what the NDC did was, did a very good deal with Ameri, nice handshake. Ameri walks away with $150 million for virtually no work done.
I see.
And may I finish?
Okay,
essentially, that's where the issue comes in. Because Ameri really did not participate in any effective way in ensuring that these things are brought in. Financing, zero. So they should tell us exactly what Ameri was going to do in this entire deal. The plant was built by Medcar. It is being operated today as we speak by Medcar. And Medcar is getting $360 million. So Ameri walked away essentially with $150 million. However,
was it fraudulent?
Well, however, the position is that since the NDC government was the legal representatives of the Republic of Ghana at the time, even if we got a bad deal, it was done on behalf of the people of Ghana by its rightful representatives. And on that score, Ghana cannot seek to eliminate itself from the responsibilities. It's understandable that in the principles of international business, like I have given a very simple example. If you Bright, go and negotiate such a deal and it is signed, and TV3 had already given you, let's say, a power of attorney to go ahead and do that, TV3 cannot therefore come and say that we are no longer partners in the deal when whoever is selling the car has gone ahead to make some, show some good faith in ensuring that the deal is done. And that's exactly what we're doing. Now, you see, I find it interesting that Honorable Mutawakili was saying that they have advised this, or they had advised this government to go ahead and engage Ameri because it was a new government. I'm sorry, but Ameri was not operating in this country before this, your government brought them into this country. So if there was any goodwill at all, it was the government that was bringing them in that should have been able to leverage on the fact that, look, we are bringing you in. You are new entrants into our markets, and so give us these things. The fact that we've been able to negotiate or renegotiate and claw out 51 million clearly proves that indeed it was a bloated deal and it was a bad deal for the Republic of Ghana. I believe that Ghana has moved on from that point. And I do not think that there is any need to split hairs over what is good and what is bad. At the end of the day, a very significant reduction of 10% of the value has been attained. Now, the argument is coming up that it is variable, it is not variable, 9 million. Listen, even if it is $1 million.
But the controversy was on the cost of the equipment, machine.
Well, at the end of the day, the 510, is it just the cost of the equipment?
No.
That's the cost of the equipment itself.
510 million.
No. The 510 is the cost. I will show you the new agreement.
Okay.
The table is
quickly.
Here.
Let's move on. Now, wrap up. Let's move
I'm coming.
I need to do some.
Under the original deal. And I'll say this again. That when it comes to the energy sector, very often there are some technicalities that get confusing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people tend to get away by relying on the technicalities to seek to, show that there may be some other factors which are not very clear to the people of Ghana. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it basic. You negotiated a deal for $510 million. Another government has come. It has done what it can and has been able to get significant savings for the people of Ghana. The least I expect from you is to be able to say, well done, you did better.
The first and foremost, saying that it is inflated and it has been entered is not, and therefore they cannot cancel it is incorrect. Let me just say two international agreements. In US, NAFTA, Trump came and canceled it.
You're talking about NAFTA.
NAFTA,
right.
And cancel it because he felt that they didn't enter into agreement. He felt it's good. Go to Malaysia.
And what was the consequence?
China entered into. He has re-entered into agreement with Mexico and with Canada.
And what was the consequence?
There's no consequence.
No legal action.
No legal action. Two.
Stop misinforming.
Go to Malaysia. China had an agreement with Malaysia. The current government came and cancelled the agreement.
This was
so if you have, excuse me, if you have the fact that this agreement is fraudulent, you cancel it. And he couldn't prove that it's fraudulent.
Sure,
Let me now analyze him into the power sector.
If a Mary is taking off, we might go back to doom.
Let me go back.
Not really.
As we speak.
Yes. If you take a Mary of Ghana, we'll go.
Now, as we speak, my brother did not understand how the power sector works.
Oh, that's he must withdraw.
Now, when you
in
the power sector, in the power sector, you see,
my understanding
when you sit down, when you sit down, let me finish. My brother understands how the power sector works. I've withdrawn it.
Thank you very much. Please
withdraw. You understand how the power sector works.
And stop attacking personalities.
In every power purchasing agreement, we have what we call the EPC contractor. EPC, engineering, design, and construction contract. The one who obtained it is normally not the one who will do the construction. Early Power, there is a company called Amandi that is doing the EPC contract for them. It's just like you have gone through a process to award the contract, and then you awarded part of it to a subcontractor to do for you. There is a margin there. The subcontractor doesn't know the processes you have gone through, what you have spent.
What are the margins?
Are you getting my point?
Early Power, what are the margins?
Look, I don't want to go into detail.
I want us to be
fair. So therefore, to just take it that contracted this, medical did this, and therefore it's bloated. Now let me come to this. Let me come to this.
Let's move to
this is the new agreement. Equipment payments. I'm okay. Equipment payments is fixed. Only 7 million when they are able to upfront, and if they are able to pay very well, there is some 5% on the balance of 56. Look at it, variable cost. This is the savings of variable cost, 41.5.
Is that a savings?
If you therefore go and deduct the 51 million from 510 million, you are incorrect.
No problem. Is that savings?
You are incorrect.
The variable cost, is that savings?
That is why I said,
how much was saved?
The total amount is 51.3.
Wow. 51,
yes.
Okay, right.
When we say 51.3, you can even decide to increase it to 100. If you say that the variable O&M, you don't want to operate it, and we calculate it in money terms, you can get 150, but the plant will not operate.
So now you have mentioned
but you continue to pay the $510 million. Are you getting my point? So the variable, you can manipulate it. You can decide that, okay, instead of operating for 30 days, operate for 10 days. Okay. And you can make savings of even $200 million. So there is always a consequence in respect to the variable cost. That is why the fixed cost, which is the cost of the plant, is always critical.
No
so the $1 million you are talking about, it's not a reduction of the plant.
Right.
The reduction in terms of the cost of the plant is 9.8 million. Meanwhile, you use the plant to exaggerate that 150 million had been bloated.
I am grateful. Let's move to Fanda this morning. The Ghana Medical Association, the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, and Zipline have agreed. Gentlemen, please, I'm moving on.
Let's just
have agreed to hold enhanced consultations in implementation of drones for medical supply project. The agreement was reached at a meeting yesterday following the GA's call for suspension of the project. The GMA has asked government to suspend the project for broader consultation. Now, a statement issued by Deputy Minister of Information, Mr. Hajide, said discussions at the meeting, which was under the auspices of Vice President, were fruitful and productive. The Vice President was there, the Health Minister was there, Director General of GHS was there, GMA President was there, the Vice was there, and Mr. Bafor of Zipline was also there. Meanwhile, Mr. Hajide said that government's doors are open for further engagements and consultations with health workers and regarding the implementation of the drone health delivery system. Nana, so at least we have found a way out. Government conceding that it did not consult these persons, and consultations have begun. Yesterday, we're told that the doors are open. Which direction should we go now in making sure that this drone system that is in past approved by Parliament it becomes really beneficial to the health sector?
Okay, may I just take a minute of your time to state that I would have very much loved it if Honorable Mutawakili would have stated the margins between Amandi and
Now let's move on.
I'm just saying, I just need to underline the fact that that is where the absurdity of the Ameri contract will be made known to the people of Ghana in clarity. And that is where the in quote, fraudulent nature of the contract would also be exposed if you had to look at it. But moving forward and onto this issue, I was very surprised at the timing that GMA, Ghana Medical Association, came out to make the statements that they made. Perhaps we have an honorable member of parliament here, so he can correct me if I am wrong. But I believe that when laws are presented, or when bills are presented to parliament, and there are issues surrounding it, and even contracts are presented to parliament for approval, and there are issues surrounding it, interested parties within the general Ghanaian population are allowed to present memoranda and issues of their concern for input at the for consideration before it is finally passed. I was therefore very surprised to hear that the Ghana Medical Association did not take any such action and only came out to issue a statement after the contract had been passed. I'm not very sure if that can be categorized as goodwill or it is the action of a few selected members within the Ghana Medical Association who decided to do that for political effect, or it is orchestration. And this is our business called politics. A friend of mine very often makes a statement that politics is a very complex business. So the complexities lie in this construction that, yes, let's assume without admitting that they were not consulted and that indeed they had no chance of making an input. The contract went before Parliament, and if I'm right, and Honorable Mutawakili should confirm or deny this, it was delayed for a period before the final passage was done. So the Ghana Medical Association, within that period, everybody in Ghana heard it. We all debated it within that period. I'm wondering what the Ghana Medical Association did in the interest of its members within that period. But moving forward, the office of the Vice President has been magnanimous and risen above all of the controversy and shown that indeed he's there to serve the entire nation as a father of a sort, or as a second father and uncle of a sort, and has invited them onto the table to take into consideration whatever it is that they say they were not given the opinion or the chance to express. And I believe that that is how we should go as a nation. What is clear is that this is an attempt to solve a problem that exists within the Ghanaian society. I am very disheartened to see the extent of distortion that has been put out there in the general Ghanaian population. You bear in mind that the initial cost that was assigned by the minority for this project was $27 million. Now, indeed, we have all come to a consensus that it is no longer $27 million, but it is $12 million. They've also gone out there to say that we are buying drones at $12 million, among others, which indeed is not true. And the agreement that was submitted to Parliament tells exactly what was going to be done. It is being suggested that we are going to buy about 1 or 2 drones, among others, and it's a full service contract that is being run. But we are attempting to ensure that emergency healthcare in this country is improved through the speedy supply of essential medicines. And indeed, it is about 148 essential medicines and other supplies that are going to be deployed using this mechanism. The real debate that we should look at here, for me, is that what is the cost of a human life and how much are we willing to use to save human lives?
Is that a debate?
I think so, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, that's what you think, so go ahead.
If you are going to put a figure and say that $12 million to deploy such essential medicines is too much of an amount of money, then what value do you place on human life? The second question.
That's not, is that the argument?
I'm coming.
Or that's what you think?
I'm coming. The second question is that, if that is so, what alternative are you proposing? Because you see, the ambulance system is there, but the ambulance system will not solve the precise problems that these drones are being deployed to solve. That's the first thing. The ambulance system would not solve the precise problem, because look, take somewhere like Donkokrom, for instance, where I happen to have worked before. Now, there's no ambulance within the north and south. There are 2 districts, north and south. There's no ambulance within that locality. But, however, there's a health post. I mean, there's a hospital there. If they run out of essential medicines, are you now saying that, for example, we have to, send a dispatch rider from the Koforidia Regional Hospital all the way to Donkokrom over a period of 4 or 5 hours. If it's a snake bite and you need a vaccine for that, this drone can do it within approximately 20 minutes. Of what help is the ambulance system going to be in such a situation? So if government is going to spend $12 million to ensure that over a period of about 4 years, such areas in this country have such critical gaps filled, and the minority is saying it is bloated. First of all, I want to know the benchmarks on which they are saying that it is bloated. I've seen a helicopter, and I would actually want to wait and have Honorable Mutawakili present the case, because it's very confusing to me to listen to the sort of argument.
GMA's argument, the first one, is that you're sending these drones to go and place the medicines, but these facilities don't even have the health personnel to handle these essential medicines.
I have just given you
one key agreement.
Well,
the CHIPS compounds, there are certain medications that the personnel there are not allowed to dispense. So when you drop that medication there, how is it dispensed?
Okay, now that's a very good point that they have raised. Now I have raised also a counter argument to that. There are places where there are qualified personnel, but drug shortage is an issue. So when that occurs, should we say that the human life should go wasted on the basis that we've not been able to place essential staff in all health posts across the country? As a country, this is where we are.
So which one first, the drones or the personnel first?
Now, you see, the personnel are not going to be manufactured in a day, unless I'm wrong. The personnel will not be manufactured in a day, and it's an ongoing process. This government has employed more than 27,000 persons who have been trained in various degrees of health and deployed them. But there still remains a very large chunk of the country that is not covered by this. I would want Honorable Mutawakili to give us the statistics, for instance, in Damongo, and what has been done, truthfully, over the last 2 years that this government has been there. But as we continue to do that, there's still this challenge. So because we haven't done that, human life should still be allowed to go waste, because we cannot, or $12 million is too much to protect the lives that we have already deployed such persons to save. The other argument I'll make to you is, listen, let's say that there is Damongo and there's Bimbila, and you have drugs at Bimbila, but those drugs have run out at Damongo. And as we are saying, these are essential medicines. I don't know the distance between the two places, but a drone can deliver medicine, pick up the medicine which is already available in Bimbila and have it brought to Damongo when someone is suffering and needs the medicine critically. Should we say that no, this system should not be deployed because $12 million is too much, and allow people to continue to die under such conditions? I would want us to look at that angle very well and critically, even as the minority is continuing to make their argument. Like I have said, the Ghana Health Medical Association has some concerns, and I applaud the Vice President to, despite the controversy, having called them to the table and said, look, all your concerns, we want a very good system for the people of Ghana, so let's listen to all your concerns and let's deal with it.
So government concede that they didn't do the right thing and now they have decided to do the right thing?
I'm not very sure that there has been a concession, but I'm not going to split hairs over a concession or otherwise, because indeed, if government concedes today, it doesn't concede today, I don't know how that solves the problem that we are seeking to solve. And I choose to believe that the Ghana Medical Association was not expressing the opinions they have expressed for expression's sake. I choose to believe that the Ghana Medical Association was expressing this because they want an improved system. There's a little bit of doubt on their case because they were not able to submit any memoranda during the period of consideration that they could have done so. But all that being the same, the Vice President has taken the lead in ensuring that, listen, the controversies are not necessary, bring everybody to the table, let's find a way of inculcating all of these opinions. What I'm interested in at this moment is the minority and their opinions and what they have continued to say. And I want Honorable Mutawakili to express this. And let's see that, and let's see if they can be addressed.
You raised an issue that you felt the GMA could have got into Parliament.
Yeah, I want to correct you quickly. In Parliament, we have bills. When a bill is late, you go through the process to get those people to come in. It's different from when they are bringing an agreement. Agreement normally don't invite experts, their memorandum.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So this is an agreement.
So GMA could not on its own come to Parliament and say, look, this is what you have, this is our input.
If it is an agreement, you make sure that when drafting it, you consult the health sector.
The stakeholders.
The stakeholders. This is what we want to do. So that whatever you are doing, they are aware, because you don't come and just impose it on them.
So
agreement is different from a bill. When a bill comes to Parliament, we advertise.
So GMA could not have come to Parliament at all in any way.
Right, just a question.
They could raise a concern.
Exactly.
Okay. But that is not to change what the agreement has said.
Right.
It's just like any other person, just like what they have just done.
I'm coming, right.
So we have to be very careful that they can bring a memorandum
when
to
that
change.
issue was dropped in Parliament, the GMA could have, after having heard it on the media, could have issued a statement.
That is what they have issued.
Or written to Parliament.
Yes.
No.
They could have written to Parliament.
They could have.
No. Let me come. If it is an agreement, when agreement comes, as a committee, it depends on how you want to take it. It could be taken in 2 weeks. It could be taken in a day. Are you getting my point? Until when the committee, the minority started kicking against this, the media wouldn't have known. The general public wouldn't have even known.
No problem.
Are you getting my point?
But it was,
so
it was
if it is
down
a bill,
for a period.
No, if it is a bill,
it was stood down for a period.
If it is a
it
bill,
was advertised, and then the GMA could have submitted a notice.
No.
We know this. We all know this.
It is the government that can change it, not the quality level.
The GMA can raise a notice that Parliament should consider it.
Not Parliament.
If you can allow him,
if it is a bill,
I'm surprised at this mistake.
When a bill is submitted to Parliament, it becomes the property of Parliament. We can change the clauses. In that case, we invite memoranda from the general public. We impute it to make sure it's good. If it is an agreement and there is an issue with it, government withdraws it.
Government's argument is that the GMA is a stakeholder. So once they've dropped that program in Parliament, the GMA could have gone to Parliament and say that this is what we want to say about it. Is that
this is what government brought as an agreement? If government wants to the input of Ghana Medical Association, it should have been done before, or when issues started coming, they withdraw the agreement, worked on it, and relay it.
Okay.
Now here's my.
Are you getting my point? That is one.
Just a point. He's skirting around an issue that I want to point out.
All this.
So you're saying that they
let me ask you this.
He's skirting around an issue.
Let me ask you this. All this back and forth, government knowing that the GMA is a key stakeholder, shouldn't have government informed the GMA officially that this is a program we're embarking on?
The Honorable Deputy Minister of Information yesterday has had.
I didn't get enough.
I'll get you the chance.
Yesterday has had to address this matter, and I believe I would not want to speak.
And he said that the Vice President announced it at the GMA 60th anniversary, which they claimed that announcement wasn't.
There was also the issue of I think a very senior member of the GMA who said that. Whatever it is that government is seeking to do to further help or enhance emergency healthcare services in this country is welcome. Listen, I have said here that we can split us over that. What I want us to address carefully is that, listen, so if government is going to enter into an agreement, and I as a citizen of this country, get to hear of it, that government wants to enter into this agreement, and I feel that it is not a good agreement, particularly where Parliament has said, let's stand it down for a period of time. What Honorable Mutawakili is seeking to say is that I cannot, for instance, write to Parliament and say, on this agreement, I've heard such and such and such. These are my concerns. For Parliament to take it, listen, please, for Parliament to take it into consideration, even in the deliberations. For example, Parliament can send the bill back to the executive.
It's not a bill, it's an agreement.
Sorry, an agreement. Parliament can send the agreement back to the executive and say, no, take into consideration these things before. Is that true?
But what I find strange is that the person who is going to dispense these medicines to be dropped by the drone, it's not.
And who is going to dispense?
The medical association. They are involved in this.
They are not
dispensary
assistants.
Okay.
No, if I'm right, they are not dispensary assistants.
But assuming that a district doctor is made to rush to a health center because there's an emergency, certainly he's going to have to do with these essentials. And so
that's not in that, but what I want to clarify is that at best, maybe it is pharmacists that dispense.
Exactly.
So that issue of dispense, maybe I have an issue with the word and how it is being framed of dispense.
Oh, okay.
So
great.
You can say that they are key stakeholders.
But you know, for instance, that pharmacists do not, they don't transfuse blood.
Well, what I'm saying is that
the blood will be transfused by doctors, not pharmacists.
What I'm saying is that they are key stakeholders within this process. That is one. Two, at this level, the issues they have raised have to do with policy and not the practical nature of it.
No, they are raising practical issues.
What are they?
Because they are claimed, for instance, that if you drop a blood at a CHIPS compound, the officers there are not allowed to transfuse blood.
Now, here is it. That is a policy. I don't know if you understand what I mean. That is a policy. It's a policy I don't know if it's of the Ghana Health Service or the Ghana Medical Association,
right,
that assistants in a CHIPS compound are not allowed to transfuse blood. That's a policy. Now, what we have seen is an agreement, and an agreement may necessitate further changes for them to be operationalized. So, as I have said, we all need to commend the Vice President for bringing everybody.
Let me get Johnny to take some comment. I'll come back to you. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just.
I'll come back to you. All right.
If there's a policy and you don't have the requisite capacity within the policy framework to do a certain thing, do you go on and do it? Anyway, Tilapia starts us off, and it's talking about the drone project, priority among priorities. That's what Tilapia says. And it says, yes, blood and essential medical supplies for distribution. That's like the Vice President atop a drone, a giant drone. And the GMA says, Parasef Newday, as the medical stores bend, na so them leave priorities. The Ghana medical stores there in your short. Let's take some of your messages anyway. And we'll start off and... Yeah. Let me go all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Find out some of your messages. Okay, here we go. And politicians are taking we the citizens for granted. They are supposed to crawl before talking and standing, walking and running, but they are in a haste to run a very bad marathon. We're waiting for them. 2020, if buying of drones is better than building CHIPS compound, then that conform to the principle of primary health. If buying of drones is better than posting our professional nurses who are sitting in the house without work for their skills to rot, I believe that drones will administer the drugs and blood in the various CHIPS compound. Now, every Ghanaian is wise. No more try me to see. 2020 election will be beyond judgmental capability of political parties. God save us all. Good morning. Makante Matthew in Atibubu says, this overspeeding thing, I think our police officers are also part of the problem, because the only thing they are interested in is the 1 CD they will collect from the drivers instead of enforcing the law when someone flouts it. On several occasions, I've had problems with police officers who demand money from me when I'm not even going contrary to the rules, and they think I'm not knowing. Well, I don't know it. Good morning, TV3. Kindly help me inform the MPP government that the drone system is a misplaced priority. First of all, I ask how many clinics, CHIPS compound, health centers in rural areas are administered or administer blood to clients. I'll gently ask the Director General of Ghana Health Service to tour the whole country to assess the various clinics, to acquaint himself with the conditions there in those facilities before passing through the drones for supply of blood in Saka Atiga in Boko. Good morning, TV3. I think our leaders have a huge problem with getting what makes sense and what doesn't. Why do I say this? Just imagine a small country like Ghana that lacks the basics, ambulances, but rather spending on expensive drones. It's just an inexcusable, corrupt means of draining the country's money. Sometimes I feel like God should just come early and clear us all immediately. Ativo David is calling for the Bobole Bobo. AU Farik in Tamale says, in fact, these drone contracts with Zipline is totally a daylight robbery by the government to loot the state coffers. Good morning, Bright. I'm Seth Edumasi from Winnipeg. If we study the trend of our accidents, majority are head-on collision. So what are we doing? This is the time we advocate for double roads. Please, good morning, Bright. In this country, we are here politicians are manipulating us because of political power. Let's wait and see when the time comes. Posterity will judge them all because of their bigger statements. They usually have excuse to give again. Okay, thank you. Please, can someone explain to me why blood is short in our hospitals? Because blood is not for sale if you use it to replace it. Eliasu Diborium and Mystic from the Soroma Treasury says this government is the most laziest and dishonest government I've ever seen. How can you say one of your achievements is 1 million cedis per constituency is equal to one constituency, 1K VIP toilet? This government promised us heaven on earth, but what are we seeing? Prices of goods and services are skyrocketing, jobs are collapsing, and the unbeatable hardship is gradually sending Ghanaians into their early graves. In fact, the government is a monumental failure. GM come again, and he says Kujato Blackwa for 2020. Numbering all excavators, issuing licenses to all miners, training of young graduates in drone monitoring of all concession in Ghana, the introduction of Galamstop to trace every mining activity. You say stop Galamsey now. Good morning, fam. Hope you had an awesome night. We did. My little word to all Ghanaians is to desist from being a tool for any political party. No politician is a superhuman than you and I. Isaac Kanda, thank you very much. Yakubu Iwalewale says the Nanado-led government started lying their way since the days of Adam and Eve. They started lying from teacher salary arrears, one village, one dam, one district, one factory, and many more. Good morning, Bright. I'm always confused with this current administration whenever it comes to this Ameri deal. The MPP told us that the deal was bloated and that they will cancel the deal as soon as they assume office. We're now in 2018, about to enter 2019, yet still they haven't cancelled it. Rather, they're keeping and extending the deal. So the MPP should stop this shameless propaganda and tell us that they are sorry and that they will not cancel the deal. Emmanuel from Bumwashi. And Makante Matthew Natibu, the MPP's guys just beating about the bush. And Ghanaians are watching. Kudos to Honorable Mutawakilo. MPP cannot fight corruption when they themselves are involved in corrupt deals. I am impressed by the submissions of Honorable Adam Mutawakilo. Ghana only saved $9 million on the cost of the plant in a new and renegotiated Ameri deal. TV3, please set the record straight and don't allow us to be miseducated by the MPP man, Baba Abu in Tema. Good morning, TV3 and your panelists. Please, I want to know from the government what is happening to our light and central region. If Dumso is not back, please, Mr. President, respond to me. I'm not a citizen. I'm a citizen, but not a presidential candidate. Kofi from Elmina. Good morning, Bright. Please remind Honorable Mutawakilo that Dumso didn't end in December 2016. Let me remind him that soon after December until early March 2017, this country still suffered Dumso. Ghanaians no longer have short memories. Wisdom from Ehi. And Alasan Wana says, good morning to you and the panelists. In achieving a primary health care and universal health coverage, there's a need to ensure effective supply of medical products, logistics, especially essential medicines and blood to hard-to-reach area. In order to do that, we need drones as a service. And finally, good morning, Mr. Host. I think politicians are taking us for granted for so long a time, and I personally respect Ghana Medical Association for boldly criticizing the government drones initiative. Abu in Takwa. My question to the GM is, what took them so long? Why did they keep quiet?
Right. Johnny, we're grateful. Quickly, let's begin to descend.
Let me set a very good example of an agreement and a bill. When the innovation agreement,
is not in doubt.
When the innovation agreement came to Parliament, no, I have to be very clear.
It's not in doubt.
When the innovation agreement came to Parliament, and we raised issues, ASAP raised issues, Imani raised issues, IES raised issues. What government did is that, hey, Parliament, stop. We'll relook at it. So I thought that should have happened in terms of zip line. And now when they relooked at it, the minister came and said, okay, I've withdrawn what we brought, and I'm laying a renegotiated one.
You know, you just
if it is a bill, Parliament could have taken a decision.
But you know, you just made my case for me.
No, I'm coming something.
GMA could have done the same thing that ASAP did.
No, ASAP raised issues. That
so
is what
GMA could have raised issues before Parliament.
We raised issues. They didn't raise. ASAP didn't raise before Parliament.
My case for me.
No, ASAP did not raise the issues before Parliament.
Yes, but they raised issues.
They issue statements condemning it.
But they raised issues. What did GMA do?
And what happened? They withdrew.
But what did GMA do?
A lot of agencies and civil society have raised issues about zipline.
No.
This government said no, we'll pass it.
What did GMA do?
Now let's come to this. My brother, you mentioned some $27 million that NDC has entered into.
I never said the NDC has entered into.
Which one is that?
That's not what I said. What I said is when the drone projects came before Parliament, the NDC was originally saying that the project was going to cost Ghana $27 million. They've now shifted from that to say it is $12 million.
No. Whatever happened, when the committee meet, we interrogate issues and we come out. Now, he was talking more of saving life. First was Donko Krom. I've been to Donko Krom. I know them very well. What is saving life? Which of these will save more lives? They have a few health centers. You are sending a drone there. Or you go and build more cheap compounds. If you go and build 20 cheap compounds, more there, cheap compounds, it will save more lives than sending a drone.
How?
People die of malaria. The highest recording of malaria. A cheap compound, well equipped with medical medicine and the medicals. Your vice president just went to Ofanko.
The vice president of Ghana.
Ghana.
Not his
the vice president of Ghana, Dr. Baumia, went to Ofanko and said that a hospital should not cost more than 1.3 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
So let's just take $12 million. That could give us more than 30 hospitals.
Now here's the point.
Do you get my point? Let me just go and build 30.
Your suggestion is that rather
we don't have the logistics in place.
Okay.
Just use that to build 10 hospitals at Donko Krom and see Afram Place and see which of them will save more lives. In respect to my dam and go health.
Right. I'm
very sad
at the argument, at the sort of argument that I'm listening to this morning. So $12 million should be spent in such a way that will build 30 cheap compounds.
That's what he's suggesting.
I'm coming. And you're suggesting that, and you're suggesting that we should build 10 in Donko Krom, no problem. May I finish? 10 in Donko Krom, let's say 10 in 2 other areas. What happens to the rest of the country?
No, I'm just use that as an example, and I'm just using that place. I don't want to show you that.
Listen,
saving life is more building cheap.
No problem.
We save more lives.
Buildings.
That is his argument.
No, buildings in themselves, and let's get this right. Buildings in themselves do not save human lives. That's the first point. So going to build a cheap compound in itself does not save human lives. The second thing is that after these have been
simplifying the issue.
If I land,
it doesn't mean just a building. He's talking about a cheap compound.
Right, if you let me land. Well equipped. No problem. So well equipped. You're able to do 30 with $12 million. Under this project, for $12 million, we are able to distribute essential medicines across the entire country. You are talking about 30 in 30 locations. Well, now, listen, may I end with this statement? Listen, Dr. Maserati Jean-Baptiste, head of Biomedical Service Department in Rwanda, said something recently, and I want the minority to keep this in mind. But you can see the difference in terms of time, in terms of saving the lives, and in terms of any kind of management. It is smarter to use the drone than anything else.
He's from Rwanda. We are told in Rwanda that they have so many ambulances. Everyone farmers are going to large-scale farms. They have ambulances on standby so that in case of anything. So he's from Rwanda and he's talking in the context of Rwanda.
So don't take it.
You are so much in a rush to prevent me from saying what I want to say.
You didn't give me my time.
Listen, the argument I am making is that if your argument that infrastructure is rather key, then what you are saying is converse to what you said earlier. It's converse to what you are saying now. Because if I get you right, your explanation is no, don't spend the money on drones, spend the money on infrastructure and we should be okay.
Open access.
No, I'm coming. But even in Rwanda, where they have a lot of infrastructure per what you are saying, they are still saying that the use of the drone is much more efficient. So
it's more efficient because the infrastructures are in place.
Stop this.
They are more efficient because infrastructure nearness to healthcare is one. If you have a community, there is a cheap compound. You have the personnel there. a drug comes, you can easily deploy.
This is a map that shows that
right.
how the deployment.
Gentlemen, I'm very grateful for your morning. Thanks so much. Another one is a member of the MPP's team, Honorable Adam Mutawakilu, Member of Parliament for the Damongo constituency. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your Thursday morning. And those of you who stay with us, we're grateful. Keep your comments coming. We'll read them in the course of the show. Stay with us. Response.
Well, it's time for us to talk about road carnages because we're going into the festive season where it's become a trend where we seem to record more cases of accidents in December. But we're finding out the very important details of how to prevent this and what the National Road Safety Commission is doing about it to make sure we're all safe during this festive season. I'm joined in studio by Engineer David Osafa Donting. He is the Director of Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Commission, and also Superintendent Alexander Kweku Obing. He is the Director in charge of Research, Education and Training at MTTD. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
So it sounds like it's become a recurring phenomenon where in December, I hate to put it like this, but there's blood demand and people, will lose their lives in this time. We're asking that critical question of what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen in this particular year, 2018, to change the status quo for Ghana? I'll start off with you, Engineer.
Good morning, Ghana, and I must say that official part to all of you. Once again, we are entering Christmas, a couple of days from now. And so the excitement is there, and the fear as well of people always thinking that this is the time possibly for blood to flow. Right. I think it's a very worrying situation. To us, it is not acceptable. But if you look at history, and the trend of our statistics, that is what is showing clearly that during Christmas, you'll find our statistics, especially the crashes, the number of deaths and injuries, rising up higher than the past. And of course, it is something that all of us must note and do one thing or the other to stop it. Right. We are asking for a change from the status quo. That Christmas and so what? Christmas will go and come again, and we'll see it every day. People are behaving as if Christmas is coming for today, tomorrow. I am not part of it, and I won't be part of it the rest of my life. No, we need to change, and the time is now. What are we talking about? The National Road Safety Commission, we have come together with the police. In fact, now we have strengthened our education and enforcement to bring to the fore for people to understand and appreciate the fact that the responsibility of you becoming safe this Christmas and beyond lies on you. You need to change your attitude. It is not a blood that is flowing from a spirit, a deity, or a kind of whatever. It is our attitude. We are talking about attitudinal behavior. Every Christmas, people are so anxious to travel to their hometowns, to their various destinations, to go and bring some goods to sell. Drivers have taken advantage. The fact that people are right at the lorry stage, the terminals, many of them, and they want to travel. And so I must try and get them there by all means, irrespective of my behavior. What I do is that if I happen to be traveling to wherever I work to Kumasi, for example, and I do it perhaps once a day, this time I must do it 3 times a day. And that is very worrying. The fact that you couldn't make it in the past, Christmas is not the time for you to make it after all. And I think we take this kind of attitude into the Christmas and we kill ourselves. I believe that the message we are putting across this time around is stop road accidents. You and I, stop road accidents. We are going to go out there, spread across the entire country, the regions, the districts, selected locations along the road, where we call blast spots, the police and the National Road Safety Commission to sensitize, to create that awareness, to educate. Whilst we do that, the police would also be enforcing the laws and the regulations. I believe that if any of us, as citizens of this country, we have something to do for Ghana, this is the time. Obin will tell you, we have so far, from January to November ending, recorded 2,118 deaths. And it's an average of about 170 deaths a month, 6 deaths per day. if we are to follow the status quo, as you're saying, then we're going to see Christmas perhaps even more than 170 on the average. We don't want that situation to happen. And I know that if we are very responsible on the way we use our roads, check our vehicles if they are roadworthy, behave well, not overspeed the way we do, not drive tired, don't drink and drive, and we overtake in accordance with what is required by the road traffic regulations and the road code, I believe that we can get through this Christmas and into the next year without seeing even a scratch on our bodies. It is responsibility, it is attitude, it's behavior, and I think the time to change is now.
Very well. And on that note, let me come to Superintendent, because, you know, Ms. Engineer mentioned something very important about the road code, and you and I are very well aware. I'm sure in your research and education and training, you've come across many people who are on the streets who have no idea what the highway code is about, because clearly they haven't been through the right processes in even obtaining a driver's license. These people are out there, and you can't use just the Xmas period to try and clamp all these people. So in the build up to Christmas, what has the police been doing actively to make sure that the law is enforced and such people are off our roads?
All right, thank you very much. I think that the road safety problem that confront all of us was couched when you said it looks as if when the country is approaching a festive season like this, crashes, surges, and there's too much blood at our public places on our roads where crashes that are not supposed to be happening are happening, with the associated deaths and injuries and damage to properties. Of course, we have gathered so far side details, and as Mr. Duncan said, out of the crashes, about 2,118 have died between January 1st and November this year, and corresponding injuries is around 12,000, and damage to properties is around 20,000 and thereabout. And both private, commercial, and motorcycles are involved, including pedestrians and all that. And so there is a challenge because all these are over and above the same period last year. And we have not been sitting on our oars since 1st January, because when you look at the data we have from January to November, we have also been vigilant on our roads, apart from the sensitization, looking out to detect offenders that are committing infractions that are exposing all of us to danger, in terms of those who are involved in excessive speeding with their vehicles, those who don't even, as I said, not going to DVLA and have not been trained and are not given any permit or license to move any vehicles on our road, and such about 1,119 were detected and arrested. And with those that were arrested together with all many infractions that could have led to many crashes that we couldn't have led to about 3,714 of them being convicted at the motor courts. And so far, about 31 are in jail, and 2 million thereabout court fines have been imposed on them as a deterrent by the motor courts across the country. For us, we think that we need to collaborate well to educate and sensitize and use your platform, among others. However, we also think that stringent enforcement is critical. And the stringent enforcement is about the compliance that we require by the law. We're talking about Road Traffic Act 683 with the supporting codes, including the LI 2180 and the Ghana Highway Code of 1974. And that is the reason why we are out there to ensure that as many as are stubborn, as many as are repeat offenders, as many as want to commit one road infraction or the other are detected in their tracks and are stopped and investigated and apprehended and put before the appropriate courts. And that we insist. Out of our studies and our response to crashes and the duties that we have performed, we have also observed that some of the crashes that are, or behaviors that are not in compliance with the law, are manifesting itself on searching road corridors. And so we have brought it out clearly. And I remember on Tuesday Times Daily, my Director General outlined all these, including the road corridor, and I want the general public to take note. These road corridors are are known to be accident prone. A lot of accidents are happening on certain spots on this road corridor, particularly the road N1 from Elubo to Aflao through Accra. There are certain sections on it that have been experiencing a lot of crashes as a result of our non-compliance with the road code and all that. And one as a typical area is Achireko and Adaukwa, when you are from Kasua approaching Winneba roundabout. And we also have Chopoli and Dawinya, among others. We also have also observed that from on the N6 from Accra right through to Konongo to Kumasi, all the way to Kadesu, Kintampo to Paga. There are certain sections on the road that have been experiencing a lot of crashes. And so Ghanaians, when they are on the road, motorists should be aware. On the N8 between Yamranza and Santasi through Asan, Fosu and all that, it is also a critical area. And when you get to Agunan Kwanta, that corridor that departs to Takwa, where it's also a known area for certain preventable crashes we have registered over the years. So people should note it. And also the road between Kumasi, Swami Roundabout through to Sunyai to Domahinkro is also another challenge corridor we want Ghanaians to note. And of course, the road between the N2 between Tema Roundabout through Akuse Junction over the Volta at Adome to Nudu and Asikuma all the way to. So these are roads, among others, that we have known, we have seen through our studies and our reconstruction analysis to be creating a lot of, we have been registering a lot of preventable crashes, and we think that most of these were as a result of our non-compliance with either speeding behaviors that were inappropriate, or people were unlawfully overtaken, or people were also committing road crimes, including facing oncoming vehicles in curves and on hills and on crests, and people were leaving their vehicles in dangerous position without any conspicuous mark or advance warning triangle. And we also saw drivers who have also, as it were, giving their vehicle to unlicensed persons, and that created a problem. And pedestrians who, and you know, pedestrians and motorcycle riders are vulnerable road users. However, we saw a lot of non-compliance and bad behaviors exhibited, because for motorists, motorcycle riders, most of them did not comply, including non-wearing of crash helmet, and were using the wrong side of the road. The same thing applies to pedestrians who most were jaywalking, were not crossing at designated points, and were at dark places, and who have turned their back to vehicles moving on the.
But you know, Superintendent, let me step in here, because you know, like you rightly said, January to November 2017, 2018, when the statistics are put together, it seems there's an increase, and the education continually goes on from National Road Safety Commission and also from the police. So how is it that as we're putting in measures, these things don't seem to actually abate the numbers, but it's increasing the numbers? Are we doing something wrong? Is it that we're not getting some of the things right when it comes to our planning and also actually giving them the education or whatever we're supposed to be doing on the ground? I'm asking both of you, because you both work in tandem.
Had it not been the measures we are putting in place, the efforts, in fact, the National Road Safety Commission on daily basis at radios, TV stations, lorries, terminals, schools, churches, everywhere, talking to people as to the risk associated with the use of the road. The police supporting with the kind of enforcement as far as their capacity can go, which means that something is being done. Unfortunately, we are not getting the kind of results we are targeting. It requires continuous education. We are dealing with human beings. We need to be constantly reminding them. We need to be talking to them. Unfortunately, there are some of them who, for some reason, have decided to do their own thing. Anytime anybody gets behind the steering wheel, I don't know, for some reason, the attitude changes. They get into the road environment, and then the environment dictates to them what they must do. They find the road very good, especially these highways you talk about. They are very smooth road. And so, because police is not there, or nobody is watching them for that reason, they do anything. They overtake anyhow. You can find a typical driver
overtaking 6 vehicles at the same time. And you need the police to be there to tell you. You need the National Road Safety Commission to be there to tell you. No, you must envisage the risk. The road will not forgive you if you make such a mistake. And you find a vehicle driving at a speed of 180 kilometers per hour, 200 kilometers per hour. No, that is more or less trying to fly. A typical human being, no, you are putting yourself in a risk that can kill you. If you fall into the trap, there is no way you can maneuver. You need somebody to come and tell you. And so you ask yourself, why? Why do people put themselves in such risky situations? The unfortunate thing is that a passenger who is innocent, sitting in a bus, paid, take me to Kumasi, unfortunately becomes a vulnerable person. A pedestrian who is walking along the road or crossing the road innocently then becomes a victim. A child, and so on. But you see, the figures we are seeing here are just figures. But the reality on the ground is that we are losing men and women, fathers, mothers, who are breadwinners of homes. And so because of that, somebody has stopped going to school, somebody is not working, and it's a burden on society. I think that we must look at it beyond that, so that people would appreciate it. The fact that if I make a mistake, I'd kill myself, kill others, and become a burden to national development. I think that's the way we must be looking at it.
I certainly agree with you, and I'd want to thank you for joining us to discuss this, because we think law enforcement plays a critical role in this, and certainly the police is having challenges with that, but I'm sure you'll be on top of your game in the years to come.
Particularly at these as the prone corridors. We are, because we've seen a surge in discipline in terms of vehicle ownership, use, vehicle occupancy, and then those who are on foot. We've seen a worrying trend of indiscipline per the data we have shown. And that's why we are spreading ourselves out there to detect. And when we detect, like we have not be hesitated in proceeding to court compared with the same period last year. We have gone to court many times. We also do that. And we all think that both proactive and reactive strategies of educating and looking out to detect and arrest will help go a long way to deter many people and put fear in people and ensure that people comply with the codes, as you mentioned.
Very well. I'd like to say thank you. And I like that note on which Engineer David Osafo Adonting ended, saying that even if one life is lost, the reality on the ground is that people are losing lives, breadwinners, family members, parents. And so we all have a responsibility to make sure that people do not die because of our indiscipline when it comes to the road usage. So let's make sure we educate other people out there. Everyone on the street has a responsibility, you and I. Let's make sure we reduce the road carnages in this Christmas so that Ghana has a good message to put out there for Christmas 2018. I have been speaking to Engineer David Osafo Adonting. He's the Director of Planning and Programs with the National Road Safety Commission, and also Superintendent Alexander Kweku Obeng, Director in charge of Research, Education and Training at MTTD. Thank you very much. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more here on Newday. Do stay with us.
Let's say good morning to you, Aaron Nana Kwesia Pia, young Aaron, you're watching, and also a very good friend out there, Philip Ayanuri Akila Sori. Good morning to you. Belated happy birthday to Pastor Yao Hinia Pia of the ICGC Rehoboth Temple, Afienya Mataheko. This from your wife Stella Pia and AG's office, Cape Coast, and Kukwa Baden of GBC, and ASL here at TV3 as well as a birthday wish to you. But check out what Tilapia has got to offer. He says, how can you be president for third term? You know, Taya, this is more like the third term doping test. And what looks like ex-President Mahama, and then there's the doping machine, and President Akufo-Addo standing on the side. This is like Chimawu to me, and third term doping test. The stadium is full. It's full. They are on the tracks. And I'm wondering why. Is the president holding the doping equipment behind him, or is going through his shots? I don't know. I'm just checking, but wow, interesting times, isn't it? Okay, Senior Bright.
Well, it looks like, of course, doping test done with urine, and so that's where the test is.
So they are extracting the urine directly. Yeah. Okay, I see. Okay. Tilapia is a bad boy, is he not? Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. It's going to be freaky, funky, and fantastic. You've got to stay with us here.
Is it a week before Christmas?
Yes, it's the week before
so
Christmas.
Christmas is on a weekday, Monday. So
If you haven't started getting hampers, have you started getting hampers?
Oh, no. But,
not at all.
We were told to be careful when receiving gifts.
Oh, but that's that, but like on the side of government. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you started getting gifts?
No, I haven't.
No.
Not too sure.
People have ignored your
phone
number. Okay. Anyway.